Okay, bonjour Year 7. This is Mrs. Hillier, so I teach some of you, and Mr. Cullerton and I have done a swap over, so that I am now doing the Year 7 lessons, and he has swapped over to the Year 8 lessons, which I was doing, just so that if you have me as a teacher, you can get used to my voice again, and his Year 8 classes can get used to him again. So you just had a little variation as well. So we are starting a new topic today, all about saying what we look like. So you have our title there, Je me présente, which means I'm presenting myself. So we're going to talk about what we look like, our height, our hair and eye colour, and we're also going to talk about our personality in this topic, okay? So if you are working in your books, then you can put chez moi, at my house. You'll all be doing this in different dates in February, or perhaps even into March, Mars, M-A-R-S. So don't worry too much about the date, and then the title, Je me présente. So you can either type all that into a Word document, PowerPoint, or write it in your book or on paper, up to you, okay? So by the end of today's lesson, you will be able to describe your height in French. So I am small, I am tall, I am average height, something like that. And we'll be using the verb être, which means to be, so that we can say things like I am, you are, he is, and so on, okay? So let's have a little look at a conversation when you're ready and you've written all this down. So unpause or pause if you need to. So answering the question, tu es comment? Let's try that. Tu es comment? Always great to repeat because it helps it stick in your head. Let's try that all together. Tu es comment? So literally it means you are how. What? In other words, how are you? What are you like? That's what they're asking. So if SpongeBob asked, Tu es comment? What are you like? This version of Patrick might say, Je suis petit. Je suis petit. You might have seen that word. We use it in English, okay? We've stolen a French word and we use it in English. He might ask back then, I know it's a question because there's a question mark, et toi? And this version of SpongeBob might say, Je suis grande. Pause the video and have a think about what you think that whole conversation means. Right, let's see if you are right. So we know the question means, what are you like? He is saying, Je suis petit, I am small. And he's asking you, and you? Or asking him, and you? And he says, I am tall. So you've got je suis, means I am. Petit is small. Grand is tall. So well done if you worked that out. You might have been able to work it out because we knew the conversation was about height, because that's our topic today. We can see the heights here. You might have linked petit. We use petite to describe small women. Petit pois are peas. And then grand looks a bit like grand. So that might have helped you work out then which was which height. And then that je suis, because we know je is I. So this suis must be there for am. Okay. So let's try that phrase there. Je suis. So not saying je suis. Let's do it again. Je suis. Remember, an S on the end is always silent. Super. So we've got a question. What do you like? Tu es comment? Sometimes French people stick this moi before it. So if I say to you, what's your name? They might say, me, I'm called. Moi, je m'appelle. What do you like? Or me, I am. Moi, je suis. You don't have to, but it's a nice little way of speaking that French often do, okay? So je suis is I am or I'm. Then we've got three options. Petit, grand, we already know, so tall and short, grand, petit, and then de taille moyenne. This is tricky to say, so I've put out the pronunciation. De, this is like tie, like a tie a man would wear. And this moi, it's almost a bit like there's a W before it. Listen carefully. Moyenne, okay, moyenne. De taille moyenne. And then we have, that means average height, okay? So I'm going to ask you now, what do you like? And I want you to tell me in French your height. So pause the video if you need a little time to answer. So, tu es comment? So if I was answering, I would have said, moi, je suis petite. Now, I said petite, not petit, okay? We'll come on to that in a second. I could have also said, je suis assez petite. Or je suis très grande. Je suis vraiment petite. Okay? So you could add these, what we call level 5 intensifiers. They intensify our adjective, our describing word, and they help us get our writing and speaking up to level 5. So excellent if you can include one of those. If you feel you're very tall, you would say, je suis très grande. if you feel you are really short, je suis vraiment petit. I am really short. Okay? Let's come back to why I pronounce this as petite and not petit, and why we have these E in brackets. Any ideas? First of all, pause the video if you want to have a think or a guess. Okay, so what we do is if we're talking about a girl, we have to add an E. Do you remember when we were looking at objects? It's a long time ago now, we missed a lot of school since then, but when we were talking about pencils, and if we had a red pencil, pencil is the word un crayon, so un crayon rouge. So we don't need to do anything about that because it's masculine. But if we had a purple pencil case is feminine, un trousse, we had to add an E to the word purple. So instead of violet, it became violette. Okay, and it's the same about girls and boys and when we describe ourselves. So because I am a girl, I can't say je suis petite. I have to add an E to the spelling. So I'd take away those brackets and I'd add an E. And therefore, the T is no longer on the end of the word. So I do need to say it. So if you're a girl, it's pronounced petite or grande. If you're a boy, it's pronounced grand or petit. You don't say the letters on the end. So ask me, what are you like? Say the question. Well done if you said tu es comment. So my answer would be je suis assez petite. I am quite short. Okay. If you want, pause the video and ask a couple of people in your house if there's anybody home. Or you could even text somebody in your class or put it into Teams chat if you want to. Ask some people tu es comment and their name and see if they can tell you their height. Okay. Take as long as you need to get a bit of speaking practice on that or writing it. Super. Okay, so if you want to make a note of these in your book to help you remember them, and that will help you with the quiz, or type them out, you can, or you could just take a screenshot of this and stick it in your work, just because it'll help you with a quiz we're going to do later on, okay? So you're now going to pause the video, and rather than writing out your listening, we're going to do it in a bit more of an interesting way. You're going to do an interactive listening. So in a moment, you're going to go to a link that where you saw this lesson, on that same page, you will see where it says listening task, and there is a link to an interactive listening. And you're going to hear 6 people telling you their height. So what you need to be doing, you are going to answer, and it's multiple choice. You need to choose whether they are tall, short, or average height. Then you might also want to try the bonus part, which is telling me whether or not they say quite, very, or really. And there's also a bonus mark for describing whether or not they are a boy or a girl. So remember, a boy is going to pronounce it as grand, a girl will be grande. A boy would be petit, a girl will be petite. When it's average height, you can't tell because that's pronounced the same for boys or girls, de taille moyenne. But for the small and the tall and short ones, you can tell me whether or not it's a boy or a girl with some bonus marks, okay? All of this explanation is written out in the listening interactive task as well, so don't worry if you're not sure what to do. But pause the video now, go to do that listening, and then come back to the video. Okay? Right, so you should have now had to go at that listening and you've come back to do the next part. So we've learned how to talk about height. Now we're going to look at what about other people, okay? So we talked at the start of the lesson that we were going to learn about the verb être, which means to be. So we know je suis is I am. Tu es is you are, if you're talking to one person. Let's look at some others. Il est means he is, and elle est means she is, okay? So this word est means is, that's the spelling of is, that goes with he or she, est. The T is on the end, so it's silent, which will leave an S on the end, so it's silent. So it's almost as if there's just an E there. Il est, elle est. Now, one way to remember whether or not il is he or she, so which one is which, the il is he and elle is she. So in terms of the spelling, look, il is 2 letters and so is he. In terms of how they sound, so il sounds like that really gross, long, slimy fish. And now, don't take offence, boys, I have 2 boys, I have no girls, so I live in a house of boys with my husband, and on the whole, I also have 2 brothers and 1 sister, and on the whole, boys tend to be a little bit grosser than girls, don't they? That's a general, that's me making a complete stereotype. But if it helps you remember that eel sounds like that gross fish, boys, he is eel, elle is she. If it helps, then I've got something to stick in your head. But as a mum of boys, I know they could be a bit gross. But I love my boys, so don't forget to take offence to it. Right, let's have a practice of some of these then. So, which person is missing? I'll go back. Got I am, you are, he is, she is. What's the French that's missing? Call it out. Excellent. If you remember the English, it's you are that's missing, and the French is tu es. Have a look carefully at them again. Let's say them. Je suis. Now you say tu es. Il est. Elle est. Which is missing now? Excellent. If you said elle est or she is, which is missing now? It's got 2 missing. Pause if you need to. Je suis, I am, il est, he is. What's missing now? So pause if you need longer, but it's je suis, I am, elle est, and il est. He is, il est, elle est, she is. Okay? So we've learned these 4 first of all. Now, there are 4 more, but these are the 4 in the blue box that all of us are going to get used to and get to know. Some of us might start to feel more comfortable in a few lessons' time to also get to know some of these ones. So saying we are, you are if you're talking to a group. So if I was talking to all of the class and I said you are tall, I would say vous êtes grand. Okay? If I was talking about they are, talking about boys, have a look at the word they when it's about boys. Look, it looks like he, doesn't it? But we've made it plural. So if I want to make pen into more than 1 pen, I add an S. So we've made he into more than 1 he's, okay? But it's not the same as he is. And I've made she plural, elle, with an S to make it they, okay? So there are 2 words for they in French, 1 for boys and 1 for girls. If I was saying boys are small, the boys, they are small, I would say ils sont petits. If I was talking about a group of girls and saying they are small, I'd say elles sont petites. So I would need to add that t sound because there'd be an E, okay? What I'd like you to do is to write the ones in the box down on in your book or paper, PowerPoint, wherever you are working. So it's only 8 French words and 8 English words to write down for you, but it's going to help you remember them and help you with the quiz you're going to do at the end of the lesson. If you'd like to write down all of them because you'd like to challenge yourself to talk about we, so maybe say something like me and my sister, we are small or something, then by all means you can write down the others as well. Okay, but these are the 4 we are focusing on for the next few lessons. Right, so we're going to, if you need longer, obviously pause on the previous activity and we're going to practice them now. So I've left this here because we are going to practice a few of these bottom ones if you get further than number 4. But don't worry, okay? You just give it a go. So what we're going to do is everyone is going to have a go, at least 3 of these, and we're going to do the first together. Some of you might get onto number 6, some of you might get onto 7 and 8. So you're going to write these out in your book, paper, Word, PowerPoint, whatever it is you're working, so that we can help us to learn these, all the different spellings of I am, you are, he is, and so on. And that will help us with the quiz as well. Because if we have a look at the English over here, in English we say you are, we are, you are, they are. We use are a lot, but that word are is different depending on the person, isn't it? Okay. So if I'm going to say I, je, something tall, what's am? What is am? Have a look over in the box and call it out to me. Hopefully you said suis. Okay. So in your book you would write down je suis grande or whatever it is you're working. Or if you prefer, you can just write down the word that's missing. Okay, so have a go at the next 3. If you are confident that you could have a go at a few more, then do. You might even get all the way to 8. You might even like to try and translate some into English as an extra extension task if you have the time this lesson. Okay, when it comes to a name, that's the same as saying he or she. So we're saying Denise is this with honnête. It doesn't necessarily matter what these adjectives mean. I haven't just used height. I've used the word stupid and honest and elegant, okay? But the important thing is getting the right spelling from this box here. So pause the video, do as many as you can. When you're ready to check, unpause. Okay, so we did number 1 together. I am tall, je suis grande. Il est idiot, so I've got the spelling for is that goes with he. He is stupid. You are shy. Denise is honest. So if you got that far, excellent. Give them all a tick or correct them. If you carried on, then correct the ones that you've done. You don't need to fill in the rest if you didn't do them. That's okay. Elles sont élégantes, with an S there. They are elegant. Nous sommes petits. We are small. Ils sont de taille moyenne. They are average height. And vous êtes intelligent. You are intelligent. So excellent if you did more and you've corrected these bits that were underlined. I called out the translations. So if you did translate any into English and you missed it, just rewind and check what I was saying. Okay? Right, fantastique. So well done. We said that by the end of today's lesson, we needed to describe height and use the verb être, which is what you've just been doing, different ways to say that's what somebody is. So let's check what these mean. What is je suis grande in English? Pause if you need longer, but it's I am tall. And I know it's a girl speaking because it ends in an E. Tu es petit. What does that one mean? So pause if you need longer, but tu is you. Remember, you. What are you like? So it means you are small. And am I telling a boy or a girl? Excellent if you said it's boy because there's no E on the end. Is this about a boy or a girl? Je suis assez grand. It's about a boy, isn't it? Because there's no E on the end. And what does it mean? Pause if you need longer. So je suis, I am, quite assez tall. Well done if you got the I am tall. Maybe you forgot the quite. And then let's put one back into French. I am very short. So if you didn't write down those extra words, quite, very, and really, maybe you need to have a little rewind of the video to find very. So if it's a boy saying this, it would be je suis très petit, and a girl would be je suis très petite. Okay, super. Now, if you've got time in today's lesson, there is a quiz to practice all of this vocabulary and help you know it better before we move on next lesson. If you don't have time today, don't worry. You can either do it next lesson, or if you'd like to do it at another time in an afternoon or something, you can, but there is absolutely no pressure to. Okay, super, well done year 7, au revoir, and I will see you virtually next lesson.